that we're going to win the game. That's exactly how Namath said it. Hey, I don't care. I'm telling you right now, we're going to win the game. Namath rocks, dude.
Now, wait a minute. I've been hearing that all week long. I got news for you, buddy. We're going to win the game, I guarantee it.
Good morning, Gjallarhorn. Dave here, along with Drew, the Wonder Man Bunting. How you doing tonight, Drew?
Finally getting caught up in my sleep from that party at Stumptown Sunday night. What a victory. I can't even remember what we talked about after that game when we did the Raw thing, but I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. What did you think of that wild game on Sunday?
You know what? That was stressful when we take on that team from Wisconsin. Started out pretty crappy, but you know, like I said, I was doing the live show. I was watching with a couple people from the group, so we had all that going on. We had good food going. Just all in all, it was a great night. I was pretty happy with the team overall. One thing I kind of noticed that I was pretty happy about was it seemed that Cousins was a lot, not only more confident, but he seemed like he was more calm. I saw him a couple times. He looked downfield like he was going to chuck it, and he ended up checking it down and taking what the defense was giving him. Right. And he hadn't done that, at least in the Bears game. But I like him do the presses when he pushes himself. That's when Kirk Cousins has his problems, is when he starts forcing things. And it seemed like Sunday night, if it wasn't there, he was throwing a check down to Rudy for 8 yards. He was throwing a screen to Cook. He just seemed to be really in control of that offense, and it was great. It was a great win.
Well, I heard him reported that he had 3 meetings with Zimmer last week.
Oh yeah,
and specifically one of them was Zimmer going, "Hey, if nothing's open, you can use your feet and run." Right. And we're used to him dropping back and standing there like a statue.
Sure.
And he's an effective runner. He was in Washington, and why he hasn't done it that much this year. Maybe he was being held back. But Zim obviously talked to DeFilippo. You know, like Ted said, throw out some of these plays that just don't work.
Right.
And get stuff more moving, get guys out in space, and telling Kirk to, hey, go with what you feel, what's working, you know. And if they talked about when he snuck it and what he saw and how to make that decision. And I think Zim's loosens the reins on him and told DeFilippo, hey, loosen the reins, let him get more into it. And I think that directly related to his play, and we saw improved play by him. He had one of his best games, if not the best.
That's probably a good way of putting it. Let him get into it, because when he's into it, that's when he's doing really well. Even if he's not running full time, he sells the run. He sold the run on that one when he ran to the right. He sold it, and then he hit Thielen. He stopped like he's running like he was going to run. Then he stopped and threw it back to Thielen. That was a really smart play. But even if he's not going to run, he used to sell it. But I mean, even Zimmer was fired up.
Yep.
So I was happy to see that. I mean, he didn't have that defeated look. I mean, he was getting pissed. He was really animated. He was animated after the game in the locker room when he gave Cousins the game ball and told everybody, "See you on Wednesday." So all in all, it was a really, you love those kind of wins when everybody's happy and moving forward. I mean, we only rushed for 91 yards, but that's still 30 yards better than we did in the first meeting. We were 50% on third down, 7 for 14. That's always a big stat with me. And the biggest stat of all is there's no turnovers. That's that's a big thing for us. That's really good.
Yeah, and that will be one of the keys coming up this Sunday.
You know what, David? We're 6-4-1. We're 11 games in. Let's look at this team for what it is right now. We know.
What is it, Parcells that said you are what your record is?
I think it was Bill Parcells and Marv Levy. And it was also Marv Levy, the great old Buffalo coach, that said, I don't want Pro Bowl players. I want Super Bowl players. Listen, we're a team, and you will agree, we have to play a clean game to win football games. We have to. We can't. We cannot overcome mistakes.
Especially against good teams, yes.
We can't overcome mistakes. I don't know what the problem is, but we can't. We just can't. We got Dreamy has to play a clean game. The whole team has to play a clean game, but I'm talking from turnovers to penalties. I mean, we almost did it again. We had a false start that took 3 points off the board. The Vikings, when the Vikings make a mistake, it always seems catastrophic. And other teams seem to be able to absorb them a little more.
Right.
We have to, at this point, we have to play a clean game to win games, pretty much, because that's how the pattern. Let's look at what the patterns have laid out up till now. That's one of the huge patterns with this team is they have to play mistake-free to have a chance to win. Another thing is we can't run the ball. So it's time to start implementing the screens or the short passing game. I mean, I don't know. You're not going to change your run blocking.
You define run the ball by producing 150 yards, 200 yards a game.
We're at 85 right now. The highest ranked we've been all season is 26th in football. Right now we're at, what, 30th? 30th.
Well, and that directly goes to the offensive line.
And, at week 11, these things aren't going to change. We have to play a clean game. We're not going to run the football all that well. We're going to try, and hopefully we can run it on a somewhat successful basis and not have 22 yards like we did against the Bears. That almost ends your chances. And so little things are falling into place.
Well,
we have good running backs at least.
Was last Sunday the blueprint on how the Vikings can win? Run sparingly on time, especially if you got the lead to shut it down. That last drive, that went from what was it? We started on the 7 and drove down to the 7 or something like that, and took huge. 7+ minutes. That was the thing of beauty. And there was a lot of runs on that play, but it was specifically control the clock. Now,
even though we didn't score, it felt like we did because we ate so much of the clock. It felt like a score.
Correct. Now, if you take that, mix it in with the short and intermediate range plays, and especially if DeFilippo can get guys out in space, because that's where our guys are good. Yards after catch, right? Jet sweep, all the screens, etc. We get more yards that way. That's fine. It's not the big chunk, right? It's not the 40-yarder to Thielen, but you'll take about 4 of those a game, right? But if you can just doink, 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 doink down the field, you eat up time, you control the clock, you give the defense a rest, and you go down and score. That can work. That series can work. It's not like it's the Rams-Chiefs game where they're just going bang, 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 right? It's a
bang,
slow,
bang,
steady.
Bang, 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 bang. I like
it's just a slow, steady, controlling ball game. And then the defense gets a chance to shine when they get to abuse the opposing offense.
And I agree with that. But what you're saying is, and what we just talked, it has to be mistake free. That's where the Vikings will win. I mean, you can't stress it enough. I mean, you look at the pattern of how this season's gone. I mean, even when their play calling's not clicking, if they're not making mistakes, they're at least in the game.
Yes.
A Saints game.
They've been in most of them
fumble.
this year.
Yeah. I mean, look at the two dynamic NFC teams that we played. We were within 7 on both of them. I feel we probably could have won either one of those games. And look what the Saints are doing to everybody else. I mean, but we got another important point is that's the worst team from Wisconsin's ever looked for me in the last 10 or 15 years. They're not a good team. They're terrible. So we beat a terrible team, but still we beat them. And they had Rodgers quarterbacking. But
hopefully next year they'll get a new coach and start a rebuild. And they'll be bad for a decade.
I mean, we're not going to prove anything to each other until we start beating good teams.
Correct.
We lost the Rams. We beat the Niners, which we were supposed to. We beat the Eagles, which at the time we thought was a really good statement win. Now you look at it and go, well, the Eagles weren't really. But the Eagles aren't scrubs. But they're not scrubs, and it was on the road, and we got that win. But we need to.
Yeah, but it proves there's a Super Bowl hangover.
Yes, big Super Bowl hangover.
And then you take Jacksonville on the other side. Now, we haven't played Jacksonville, but Jacksonville's been horrible.
Oh, they're one of the worst teams in football. Probably the biggest disappointment in football, as far as my eyes see, for what they were supposed to be. They were supposed to be AFC top 3 contender for the Super Bowl.
Right.
They're in the toilet.
They're in the toilet.
They look like garbage.
Now, part of that's the quarterback, but oh well. But speaking of quarterbacks and in the garbage, I know you just love power rankings.
Oh, God. You're not going to throw power rankings at me, are you?
Just one little bit.
Ah, jeez, they suck. What's your power ranking?
And this power ranking, I think it was from ESPN or maybe an NFL. You know who ranked ahead of the Packers?
The Browns.
The Brownies, baby.
Oh, man, the world is that football. She's a wicked, wicked mistress.
Yes, she is. I thought you would like that one.
You can throw me that power ranking. Okay, that one I'll take. That's fine. Oh, that is something else. That is just tremendous.
I think it's fantastic. Anyway, speaking of Browns, that was the original starting point for Bill Belichick. He didn't last long.
Yeah.
He did a few good things, but he didn't last long. It was Cleveland. Then it was on to New England, and that's where we had Sunday for the afternoon game, broadcast on Fox, the game of the week, which means, of course, our favorite announcers, Troy Aikman and Buck.
Volume on 0, David. That's me. That's all I go.
Yeah.
I won't hear anything of it.
Joe Buck just drives me insane. Aikman's
I'm not worried
much.
about this game.
Joe Buck drives me insane.
I'm looking forward to this challenge. I'm looking forward to Darth Vader, Belichick. I'm looking forward to going to the Death Star on the road. I'm going to tell you something right now. We're going to win the game. I guarantee you we win this game. You can call that. You can take me to the bank on that one. You can book it. You can call it a stone cold lead pipe lock. We're going to win this game. And we show that we can beat a good team. That we can beat good teams because we're going to win.
How are we going to do it?
How are we going to do it? Well, first off, we're going to go. There was some Holton Hill's going to be on fire this week. I think we're going to. Let me give you a couple of my points on why we're going to win this game, David. The New England Patriots are 25th in pass defense.
Who?
25th in the league in pass defense. They're 22nd overall, but they're 25th in pass defense. They are not good. And here's a tasty stat that I found this morning that I know you'll love. Did you know that the New England Patriots are 30th in quarterback sacks?
No.
Guess how many sacks the New England Patriots have all season? Take a shot.
That they've given, or is Brady?
No, not Brady. Sacks against. I mean, how many times have they sacked the opponent?
What are we sitting at right now? About 34, and I think
we're third in the league at 36.
36. Okay, and they
may be 30th.
I looked at their PFF scores, and they're 30th. That bad?
Yes.
Our old line has a chance.
Well, that's now you're picking up what I'm putting down. Right? They have 17 sacks all season. We almost got 17 against the Lions. You know what? And they played the Lions. So shouldn't they have more? No, they have 17 all year, Dave. 17. Damn. That's it. We have 36. So that does help. I mean, we need, after playing Khalil Mack, we need, you know what? You know this from playing. If you practice against a beast all week, you're going to be good on game day. So,
Correct.
I mean, we've been playing some pretty stout pass rushers. I mean, not to say New England's scrubby, but 30th in sacks gives – it can only help us to give McDreamy more time in the pocket, can it?
Yes. Now, and I've heard today watching different press conferences and reading different reports, the Belichick and Zimmer love affair, schmoozy stuff that comes out in the middle of the week normally about how good he is, how good they are.
It's all a slurp fest.
Yeah, it's a slurp fest, right? It's all for NFL. There's no bulletin board material. It's all pat. But
that's a smart way to play it. Yeah.
Both are very good coaches. It's
behind the scenes, Zimmer saying, I hate that little fucking troll.
Well, it was some of the stuff I read when the Patriots way is always take out their worst or their best player, right? If they're playing Atlanta, it's Julio Jones. Shut him down.
Sure.
Take him out. Let everybody else beat you. Zimmer said in his press conference is they try to make you play left-handed, right? They try to take away your strength, and so you have to win with your weakness. Well, what I'm hearing all week is, and Bill Parcells, I heard it from Zimmer, used to tell Zimmer this, go double-double. And what he wants to do is they want to double up Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, right? There have been a couple teams this year who have done that, right? They want to take out our two top receivers. Well, I think with last week, with Kirk feeling better, right, and feeling more confident, he got the ball out more to Rudy, right?
Sure.
And Cook, the cooker, working outside, he is feeling more healthy than he has. And Zimmer even remarked he looks now like he did prior to the injury. He hadn't up to that point, but he does now.
That was the best he looked all season.
That you take those two especially, right? But then maybe Robinson or BB if BB's playing. Forget Treadwell, right? But you take other options. If both outside receivers are doubled, that leaves the field open.
Right. That's you're taking
all they got to do is huge beat somebody in a zone and it's gone.
Yeah, that's a huge risk defense. I mean, I understand what you're saying. And, Belichick's not scared to take risks, but yeah, I would. I hear you. That's that.
And if they do that and give Cousins time,
here's what Darth Vader does. Darth Belichick, good old Darth with the hoodie. The Patriots live and thrive off playing mistake-free football, and they without them saying it, they pretty much tell you. They tell you right up front, we're going to wait for you to make a mistake, and then we're going to beat you. Because football comes down to a bunch of good athletes, comes down to a handful of plays. And we're going to make better ones because you're going to fuck up. We're going to wait for you to make the mistake. Listen to this stat from the great Stephen England in the Gjallarhorn group. He shot me the stat earlier in the week. The New England Patriots, under the Brady Darth Belichick regime, are 125-15 when they don't turn the ball over. Let those numbers sink in. I don't know what's bigger, 125 wins against 15 losses, or the fact that they've played 140 games without a turnover. Look at that. Isn't that amazing in itself?
It is.
140 times they've played without turning the ball over.
Well,
they won 125.
Zimmer in his press conference, or Zimmer on KFan tonight, I was listening, was saying they are an extremely disciplined team. They do not make mistakes. They do not want to be beat by mistakes they play, right? It's Belichick's do your job attitude. Do it and do it well. But they will turn around and capitalize on you making a mistake. He says
exactly right.
They will go out there. They will rarely make a mistake. And if you beat them, you beat them. That's cool. Belichick's fine with that. He respects that. But he is looking for you to make one simple mistake, and they will capitalize. And that's one thing we got to worry about. is that mistake somewhere, somehow, and that it doesn't lead to that let down in attitude.
Let's face it, David. The Vikings are notorious for making the bonehead mistakes. I mean, we can go through game by game by game. There's always
decade by decade.
Well, there's a lot of them, especially this season. We just got done talking about the only way we can win is if we play clean football because we can't overcome our mistakes. This is the team you can't make any against. You might have a shot with somebody else. I mean, the last Sunday, and then maybe when we go into Seattle or we play the Dolphins and all, maybe you can make mistakes and you can't do it against you can't do it against the Patriots. Can't be done. So it's going to have to be a clean game. I remember a couple years ago, I watched a Patriot game on a Sunday night. Brady threw a pick six.
Right.
The other team kicked off, and New England fumbled the kickoff. And I got under a table. I thought the fucking sky was going to fall. I haven't seen the Patriots make two successive mistakes on plays my whole life, I don't think. Right. So that's but we do have a little bit of advantage with their pass defense. I think we need to.
That's our offense against their defense.
Yes.
What about our defense against their offense?
I'm glad you asked me that, David. Their offense is 8th overall. They have a really, really good. They have a good passing attack. They average 270 passing yards a game. They're 388 overall. Now, our defense, when I crunch these numbers, I have to say I am very proud of our defense. Being with all the injuries we've had this year, you know how many starters we've missed in games. Was it 25 games or starts or something?
Yeah, something like
that. Get these. Let me throw these at you. Let me throw these at you, Charlie Daniels. 3rd overall in the NFL in defense. 5th overall passing defense. Bam. Ooh. 4th rushing defense in the league. Bam. And 10th scoring.
Wow.
You know what's kind of strange? The Patriots are 22nd overall in the NFL in defense, and they give up 22 points a game. The Minnesota Vikings are 3rd overall in defense, and they give up 22 points a game. Now, how's that even possible?
Well, there's scoring defense, and then there's restricting yards on rushing and restricting yards on passing.
Isn't that kind of weird numbers?
Times of possessions. Yeah, it is.
It seems like if they're 22nd and we're 3rd, they should be giving up 10 more points a game than we are. But we're both giving up 22 a game. So,
well, if we end the season in the top 5 or the top 3, it'll be the only second time it's ever been done, and it was done back in 70s. With Purple People Eaters, that generation, I'd have to look up exactly which 3 years in a row that they have finished top 3 in 3 years in a row. And the Vikings are the only ones that have ever done it.
I'd have to check with Tony Bell, but I think it'd be 73, 74, 75. I think that would be my 3 guesses.
Okay. But the difference between this year and last year we had only 5 defensive players ever get injured. Right? Not all of them starters. Sendejo, Alexander, Robinson, Steven, and Griffin for a total loss of 8 games. This year, so far, we've had Sendejo, who's now on IR. He re-aggravated his groin injury. Griffin, Hughes, who's obviously on IR.
Right.
Barr, Gideon, Rhodes, Sebastian Thunderbucket, Joseph, Waynes, and Alexander for a total of, you got the number right, 25 game starts missed versus 8 of last year. And we are still.
And we're 3rd overall.
Top 5 defense.
Yep. Yes. 3rd overall with everything you just said. Guys missing that many starts. So you gotta hand it to Zimmer and Spielman even for having some depth this year. We got some depth, quality depth. Yeah, it's not like you're losing a guy and bringing in a scrub. I mean, these guys like Holton Hill has stepped up all year. What about Harris? And Curse has played well. All the guys that you didn't.
The 2nd highest ranked safety in the league according to PFF.
Right, and Sendejo went out like what, week 4? So we've been having that other, supposedly having
we went Iloka and we went Curse, and then we settled on Harris, and Harris has been golden ever since.
I mean, what happens if we haven't lost all those games? You know, I mean, I haven't lost all the starts by those starters.
Right.
We're still third. I mean, fourth against rushing. We have the fourth best rushing defense in football. You know, that's what's going to carry us. You know, we're still going to be a team carried by our defense. We always will be, it seems like. And it certainly will be for this Sunday. You know, we're going to win this game. We're going to have to play a stout defense because what are the Pats averaging? The Pats are averaging 28 points a game, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah, we're holding people to 22.
Right. You figure they're going to be around 24 if you look at the average by the numbers. We score 24, they give up 22. So the scoring, according to the paperwork, the scoring is like level. It's right there. So
right.
And we're +2 in turnovers. They're a +5, but we're both pluses. So, you know, both teams are taking advantage of the turnovers. But I'm going to go back to it. We're going to win this game. I'm telling you right now, dude. We're going to win this game.
Well, we're going in there underdogs. I think I looked today, and I think it was a 5-point spread.
Spread it out. Give us the dog. We'll be the dog. We don't mind being the dog.
No, heck no. Heck no.
Give me a bark, princess. She barks now. I taught her. No, she's yes, she barks. The dogs go by, it walks during the day, and she learned how to bark, and now she sits at the screen and barks at them all day, even when they're not out there. Even when they're not getting walked, she barks. No, we can be underdog on the road. I don't know if you heard the weather yet. I don't know. It's probably cold. It's New England, cold and rainy. Raining.
Cold. That's what I heard. I haven't looked it up, but that's what I heard. That it's supposed to be windy and rainy on Sunday.
Windy, cold, and damp.
Right. And rainy.
Sounds like my first.
And rain is our friend when it comes to helping shut down Tom Brady.
Do you feel like we do? Yeah. Champagne for breakfast and a Sherman in my hand, David. We're going to win this game. I'm feeling it. Feeling it.
Now, another thing that I want to highlight was Coach Belichick went out of his way in his press conference this week to talk up Harrison Smith as one of the 3 best safeties he's ever played against.
I didn't hear it, but let me guess it went something like this. Harrison Smith's a really good safety. He's one of the top 3 safeties in football. He gets there and he makes good tackles. He has great instincts. He knows where the ball is going to be played. He really is a great player. Was it about like that?
It was about like that, but he compared to Troy Malabalu and I'm trying to remember the other one. The guy from Pittsburgh.
Oh, the pride of Garden Grove, California High School, the home of the Argonauts, Troy Polamalu.
And then there was another one of the greats, right? Hall of Fame type guys. And he says that Harrison, he said it in the manner you said it. He's how he said it. But he's thoroughly impressed because he goes, Brady has to read him specifically correctly or we will lose.
Yeah, that's what about him Sunday night? What about Harrison Smith being all fiery? You don't see him act that animated like that. He was fired up.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs to do that more so his teammates go, look at the leader. If he's fired up, then I'm going to be fired up. Yep. But he was fired, especially when he made that tackle off the edge to stop the 4th down play. What a fantastic play. That was perfect.
Yes.
Well, Belichick's right. Belichick is he's got to. You better keep track of him. He's going to be up at the line of scrimmage all night, like he usually is, or day. What time do we start?
It's no, it's not the normal game time. It's 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central.
Oh, we got the late start. For me, it's 1:30. 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to be a battle. But if you can pressure up the middle on Brady, you can stop him. And I've talked about that in posts during the week in the Gjallarhorn group about the middle pressure that Tennessee had. He was, Dave, I watched that whole game, and I've never seen Brady. He was actually scared, throwing the ball into the ground, throwing it away every other play. They had it to where in the fourth quarter, he was throwing the ball away with nobody near him. He was so panicked by that's what we got. That's how you beat Brady. Get him off his game. Like we did with Rodgers. That last pass that Rodgers missed.
With Breeze somewhat.
Yes. I mean, we held Breeze to 120.
Right.
That's amazing. But Rodgers last week, even though we got some sacks on him, he missed a lot of passes in that second half, especially that touchdown at the end. He never misses that pass. Never. But we were in his head, and when you're in somebody's head, it's just as good as getting a sack. It is.
Oh, yes. And getting pressure and starting to see ghosts when a quarterback drops back and he's starting to see ghosts flying around him. Oh, that screws up with his timing. It does all sorts of things to mess with his head. And if you do that and you get psychologically into his head, you can get some defensive linemen that start barking at him, and that can throw them off. And Brady has been known to have that affect him, but it's just rare. It's just rare that it ever happens successfully. But we have one of the best defensive lines in the league this year, period. You throw our front four against anybody else's front four, front three, we are by far at least number 2, right? As a four group, there's some that have better defensive end or an interior tackle or whatever, but as a group, we got to be at least the top 2. The Patriots have a good offensive line.
Yes, they do, but it's not star driven. I mean, it's something you can get to.
Right.
Tennessee
they score well, but they're going against Sheldon was an all-pro. Linval was an all-pro. Hunter will be an all-pro. Griffin was an all-pro, right? Yes, I want Super Bowl players versus Pro Bowl players, but those guys know what they're doing and can bust through that. They're going to show stuff that
this is the best line they've faced. This is the best defensive line they face, and if we keep the pressure on, if you let Brady sit back there, you have no chance. You're going to lose the game. So I bag on Zimmer for his clock management, his killer instinct. There's certain parts of his coaching I voiced my opinion about, but there's a couple things that he's really good at, and one of them is shutting star quarterbacks down. Over his time he's been here, he's done a fabulous job at it. He really has.
Star quarterbacks and rookie quarterbacks.
I mean, the Saints beat us, but he did his best to shut him down. I mean, and he's always frustrated Rodgers. So I'm confident Zimmer will have some wrinkles in there to throw at Brady. He knows you have to get to him. You let Brady start dinking and dunking you with Edelman and Chris Hogan, your fucking day's over. It's gonna be an embarrassment. And something that Darren Campbell mentioned today, we got to keep the ball. I think we got to possess some drives. We got to move the chains. And every time New England sends their punter out, that's a win for us. That's a huge win. So we got to keep that in mind. We've been doing really good on third down conversions these last few weeks. Really good. So let's keep that in mind. I think we're going to be ready to play. We're going to win. I guaranteed it. I already called it.
Cool. Have you got any other spicy hot takes?
I have a spicy ass hot take. You're gonna like this one. And I'm sending it. You know what, Ted? This one's for you. Ted usually gives us our spicy hot takes. Ted Glover's gonna love this one. Meow meow. My spicy hot take is, David, come Super Bowl Sunday, neither of these teams will be in it. The Chiefs, the Rams, or the Saints. None of them are going to make the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Book it, write it down. You can put this in the time capsule because at the end of the day, Drewski, I'm still old school and I still believe that defense has a say in what we're doing. I know these teams are running up these Madden-like numbers and it's offense and 14 touchdowns in a game combined, yada, yada, yada. But in the end, defense will win out and none of those 3 teams are going to be in the Super Bowl. That's my hot take of the day. Bam! So
wrote it down, baby. Wrote it down.
You did write down. I did write down something else for you. Look, I started a new one. We have 0 games See the 0? We're going to change that next week, but we're back to 0 because we messed it up. We got the 2, David. That's our record.
That's 2. 2
games
so far this season.
Now we're back to the drawing board, but that's my hot take. I still believe in the defense, and it's going to be our defense that makes a difference in these games.
Yes.
You have to play defense. And you know what? These games are going to get cold weather. These games, I'm telling you, the defenses are going to get the advantage in next month in football. So when it comes playoff time, you got to be able to play some defense. And none of those teams I just mentioned play a lick of defense. They don't. That's where it's going to be our time to shine.
Okay. And with a little bit of swag that we got this last week, beating the glorious team from Wisconsin.
Glorious.
It was a great victory, and I have loved living it all week, and I love and am very much looking forward to the implosion that is amongst the Green Bay fandom and that whole organization as this season winds down. We now move into, with some attitude, the Patriots. You've called the game. I tend to agree with you. I think it's going to be a very entertaining game.
You're going to give me a prediction since I don't do predictions?
I do think it's going to be good.
God, shoot me some numbers. Let's hear it.
27-24 maybe.
Okay. 27-24. I'm going to write that down.
Bailey kicks the winning field goal.
From what? 16 yards?
Yeah. Well, maybe a 35-yarder or something.
27-24. I got that shit written down.
But we shall see.
I already called for Holton Hill with a pick 6.
Well, hey, Xavier Rhodes may play. So,
really?
Yeah, it's looking that way. But, of course, when Zimmer said, they asked him, is he going to play? And he goes, well, yeah, it's looking like it. That generally means there's a funeral in the future. But who knows?
Right.
But he should play. And if not, Holton Hill will come in, and because Xavier tends to get dinged up every single game, goes out for a series and comes back in, plays some more.
Hey, you know what I'd like to see?
What?
I'd like to see Mackenzie Alexander on that sneaky sack when he gets sacks. One thing he does every time. Every time he does that, it's always a real ass-kicking sack too. It's usually
untouched, straight in.
He never runs past the quarterback or flaws on it. He gets it done every time. So I would like to see that play call for that. That would be a meow meow Viking cow.
Absolutely. Well, with that, we're going to call it. And everybody, we want you to have a great weekend. And especially enjoying the games.
See you guys on the thread.
And go Vikings.
Yeah!
Go.
We don't want to hear from Robert Kraft either, the old son of a bitch. I don't want to see him smiling in the press box either. I hate that fucking guy.